Have you been thinking about how to preserve your wealth and pass it on to your heirs without losing a significant portion to taxes? Well, you're not alone. Today, we're breaking down estate and gift tax planning to help you maximize what you leave behind. Hi, I'm estate planning attorney Mike Smith with Smith Barid LLC, and I'm one half of the Estate Planning Guys. In this video, we're going to explore how strategic planning can help you navigate the complexities of estate and gift taxes, ensuring that your legacy is protected for those that you leave behind. So the first thing that we need to do in order to discuss estate and gift tax is to have an understanding of what estate and gift taxes are. So the estate tax is a federal tax that applies to what you leave behind for your beneficiaries. So whether you do that with a will or you do that with a trust or you don't have a plan at all, what you leave behind can be subject to the estate tax. And whether it's subject to the estate tax or not, we'll get into in just a second. The other type of tax I mentioned is the gift tax. And the gift tax applies to gifts that you make during your lifetime. And you have exemptions to the gift tax. There's also an annual exclusion, and we'll talk about that in more detail in just a minute. But at this point, understand that estate taxes apply to what you leave behind for your beneficiaries, and gift taxes apply to gifts that you make during your lifetime. So that's what the estate and gift tax are. Now, the next thing to understand is that your credit is unified. And so what that means is you have one credit that you can apply either to the estate taxes after you die or to gift taxes during your lifetime. And the current exemption amount is $13.61 million. So $13.61 million, you can either give that away during your lifetime all at once or over time, or you can leave that behind for your beneficiaries, and there's going to be no estate taxes due as long as your estate is worth less than $13.61 million. And the other thing to know about it is that each spouse in a married couple has that $13.61 million exemption. So for a married couple, effectively, we've got a $27.2 million estate tax exemption. And there is some planning that should be done if you need to take advantage of both spouses' exemptions, but the good news is it's not that complicated to achieve that. So $27.2 million that you can pass on to your heirs or beneficiaries without having to pay any estate tax. That's the 2024 exemption amount. Now, one thing to know about estate tax is that you need to be proactive in planning. If you don't do any planning and you bump up against those or you cross those thresholds, then your family's going to pay tax at about a 40% rate. So super important to be proactive about planning for estate and gift taxes. Now, so I've just told you what the exemption is for 2024. Now let's talk about what's going to happen in 2025. So in 2025, the law will sunset. What happened is in 2017, Congress passed a law that changed the estate tax exemption, and that was signed by the president. And so that became the law in 2017, the current estate tax exemptions that we have in place. But in 2025, that law sunsets and we go back to where we were in 2017. And in 2017, we had a $5 million exemption that was indexed to inflation. So we estimate that by the time the estate tax exemption sunsets, that we will have about a $7 million exemption under the old scheme. So you're looking at a significant reduction in the exemption coming next year in 2025. And that'll happen by the end of the year in 2025, unless Congress and the president take some action. Now, of course, I'm recording this in March of 2024. So, the presidential election is still up in the air. We don't know what's going to happen there, and we don't know who's going to be in Congress and who's going to be in control. So things could change significantly before we hit that sunset in 2025. But the important takeaway is that you need to be paying attention to what happens with the estate tax in 2025 so that you know if you are going to potentially be subject to that tax and need to do some planning around that. So be sure to keep an eye out for what happens with the estate tax. Now, different strategies that we use to try and reduce the size of an estate so that it's not subject to estate tax. The first one is a gifting strategy. So one thing that you may want to think about in 2025, if you're dealing with an estate that is going to be over the exemption amount after the sunset, you may want to go ahead and use your $13.61 million exemption in 2025 because they're not going to come back and take that away. So if you use it in 25, it's kind of a use it or lose it proposition. If you use it in 25, then you're going to be able to get a lot more through to your family without any estate tax. Whereas if you wait until after 2025, if the exemption goes down, you might not have that opportunity. Now, the other thing planning, I talked about how the credit from estate tax and gift tax is unified. So you can use it during your lifetime or upon your death. So you could make a gift this year or next year of up to $13.61 million, and it's going to be exempt. There's going to be no estate tax due on that. The other thing to know about gift taxes, there is an annual exclusion amount, which is currently $18,000. And with that exclusion, you may gift up to $18,000 to anybody that you want to. And there's no need to file a gift tax return. There's no tax due. There's no reporting requirement. You can gift $18,000. So if you have 5 grandchildren or 5 children and 4 grandchildren, then you could gift to all 9 of them $18,000 a piece. And that's a way that you can move assets out of your estate to the next generation or the generation after that without having to pay any estate or gift tax. So a couple of things we can do there around gifting to try and minimize the estate tax. The next thing is charitable donations. So when you make a donation to charity, that is a tax exempt gift. It's not going to be subject to any gift or estate tax. You can do that during your lifetime. You can do that upon your death. So no tax due if you're giving to charity. And then there are also some special types of charitable gifts that we can sort of maximize tax benefits with. So those are things like grantor retained annuity trusts or charitable lead trusts. There are different types of trusts that we can use. If charity is something that's important to you and you want to keep an eye towards reducing your estate tax, that's something to explore with your estate planning attorney. Now, I've just mentioned a couple of trusts. There are other trusts that are also helpful in estate tax planning. At the beginning of this conversation, I talked about how we can use both spouses' marital exemption of $13.61 million, their individual estate tax exemption. What I recommend when we want to use that exemption is what's called a bypass trust. It is not absolutely necessary. There is portability under federal law of the estate tax exemption. So if the husband passes away, the wife, the spouse can use that exemption simply by filing an estate tax return. No tax will be due, but you file the estate tax return to essentially reserve that credit and be able to use that exemption and be able to use that upon the second spouse's death. The problem with that is that if somebody forgets to file that estate tax return, then it goes away. And so you want to make sure you preserve that. So I recommend using a bypass trust that will essentially force the trustee to utilize both spouses' exemption. There are a couple other types of strategies that we use sometimes, family limited partnerships or limited liability companies. And one of the great things about those types of structures is that we can receive what are called valuation discounts. And that's kind of a complicated topic, but basically understand it like this. If you own a company that's worth $100,000 and there are certain restrictions around the transferability of the stock or membership units or the partnership interests, then you're entitled to certain discounts. And that means that, let's say we got a 20% discount. So that $100,000 company is only worth $80,000 for estate tax purposes. So that can be a great way to reduce the size of estate as well. So limited liability companies or family limited partnerships, those are ways that we can reduce the size of the estate and reduce some of that estate tax liability. So another important thing in thinking about planning for estate taxes is life insurance and the role that it can play. So life insurance can provide liquidity for paying estate taxes, and we typically would use what's called an irrevocable life insurance trust to hold that policy. And because of the way that trust is structured, the policy won't count as part of your estate because we don't want to add to the problem. So if we have a taxable estate, we don't want to buy some insurance and make it more taxable. So we create an irrevocable life insurance trust, and because of the way it's structured, it doesn't count as part of your estate. When you pass away, the life insurance benefit is paid into that trust, and the beneficiaries of that trust can use the life insurance proceeds to help pay any liability that there is to Uncle Sam for estate taxes. So we've talked about several different ways that we can reduce the impact of the estate and gift tax. It's very important, as I mentioned earlier, that you stay informed about changes in the laws around the estate and gift tax. As I mentioned, I just want to reiterate this, the law is going to sunset in 2025, and it's important that you're aware if you are a person who is going to have an estate impacted by the estate tax, it's important that you're aware of what's going on. So pay attention in 25 as the President and Congress work on the estate tax and it finally comes out, where we wind up with that. If you want to stay up to date on this kind of thing, a great way to do that is to subscribe to a newsletter. Our firm has one, other estate planning attorneys have one, and generally we're going to put out information about estate planning. So things like the estate tax would be a big topic in our newsletter. And you can sign up for that on our website if you are interested in learning more about estate tax issues and staying up to date on those changes that come into law. If you're looking for ways to efficiently manage your estate and gift taxes, we're here to help, obviously. Our team can provide the guidance you need to navigate these complex issues and develop a plan that suits your unique situation. So contact us to schedule a consultation, a free discovery call with my team, and take the first step towards securing your financial legacy. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with friends or family who might benefit, and subscribe to our channel, The Estate Planning Guys, for more insightful estate planning advice. Remember, planning today can save your family from headaches tomorrow. See you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, then take a moment right now to subscribe by clicking below and turn on the bell notification so you get notified every time we post up a new video. Right now we're posting 3 videos a week with lots of information about various estate planning topics, so you're going to want to make sure to stay on top of that. Click below to subscribe and click right over here to watch the next most relevant video about estate planning. Go watch it now.